Excuse me, are you with Patton's firm? My name is Susan Bassey. I'm an investigative reporter and I'm looking into private judging, and I was in the courtroom when I heard David Patton, you got him on the phone, and I heard David Patton say that they are not responsible for dragging out any of the litigation before a private judge. Are you aware of the details in this case and the private judging issues?
I don't know anything about it.
Are you a partner or a paralegal or an associate of the firm?
No comment.
Do you wish to comment about misrepresentations that you made to the judge in the courtroom?
No.
Did you hear your associate, David Patton, make any misrepresentations?
No comment.
How many private judging cases does David Patton currently participate in? Do you use any private judging in your cases?
This is Susan Bassey. A year and a half ago, I started recording the police. I learned from a group of people known as First Amendment auditors about the culture of police out on our streets and whether or not they followed their training or understood the law. Mostly, I looked for what they taught me and how to apply it to the courthouses where there are no cameras allowed and where duly elected judges are in charge of disciplining police officers and attorneys, and private attorneys make a great deal of money based on fee awards that are given by those judges. I also evaluate what prosecutors or government attorneys are doing because they are responsible for disciplining the police and for prosecuting crimes, including crimes involving police officers and public officials. But mostly, I tried to explain what's going on in our local courts and communities because in the last 10 years there's been an erosion of local news, and that means we no longer know what's going on with our local government and inside our courthouses. And you all have helped me here with your likes, comments, and shares. You're helping me take complex issues and better explain what's going on. This is Sergeant Ray, and he's a police officer who is assigned as a sergeant to the courthouse in Santa Clara County. I've been watching Sergeant Ray for a number of years. I happen to know that he's filed a number of false police reports. I know this because he's filed them in a criminal case where I am being prosecuted. To be clear, I'm not being prosecuted for violating the law. I'm being prosecuted by the Santa Clara County District Attorney, Jeff Rosen, for taking a photograph inside a courthouse. Jeff Rosen is the most powerful law enforcement officer in Northern California. He is prosecuting me for taking this photograph in violation of a rule that was made up by local judges and attorneys. This is a photograph of a journalist taken on the 8th floor of this courthouse that cost $283 million to build. We were investigating meetings that were being held in the courthouse that included local government officials and public employees. And those meetings were not being recorded, and there were a number of violations of the law, including violations of the Brown Act, meaning that the public was denied access to these meetings and recording was prohibited because they took place in the courthouse. And after I started investigating it, I became the subject of a prosecution myself. That is known as a political prosecution, and it's retaliation for the work that I've done as a journalist. And I've continued to do that work nonetheless.
Hi, love.
Hi.
Do you have a court hearing?
Yeah.
They're going to make you wear a mask when you go in there. Attaboy. Do you know what's going on with the hours of the court and everything?
I'm not exactly sure.
Just checking. I'm a reporter and I'm talking about the courts being open, and it seems to be a lot of people don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, they tell us to come in, and then and I don't understand why when everybody else is on lockdown or it's on.
If you've never been called to jury duty or been a litigant in a court case, you may not know a lot about the courts in your community. There are a lot of rules and a lot of laws. There are a lot of judges and lawyers who you may not know either. Recently, there's been an escalation of domestic violence and civil harassment claims in civil court. That means there is no jury, and that you go before a single judge, and the judge decides who they believe and what kind of abuse they believe has occurred. There may be no police reports, so it's just your word against the other person's. But if a judge finds you guilty, you lose your right to own guns, to freely pass in your community, and you can be fined and sanctioned, and you can even lose custody of your children. In criminal court, the burden for domestic violence and civil harassment is much higher. These cases are charged by the district attorney. In Santa Clara County, that would be Jeff Rosen. And there have been a number of complaints that he has been charging false domestic violence cases and been throwing cases out of criminal court to civil court so that private divorce lawyers can make more money. It also appears that in Santa Clara County, the supervisors who are supposed to manage and supervise Mr. Rosen are more interested in getting him gigs and spots in Hollywood.
I also think, Mr. Rosen, that I read the example that you gave in our, I'll call it staff report, in the ledge file. And I thought, what a great TV show that would make. You know, on NBC, Grip. The name is great.
Yeah.
Each week would be a different case that you did. I just think, you know, starring James Gibbon Shapiro and Marissa. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out, Madam Chair. I think there's a future out there for a couple of these guys.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so what's going on now?
So I sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors related to the nonprofit that is allegedly collecting donors' money for domestic violence in a fraudulent manner and lobbying for the local DA. And the letter is on the agenda. They got it last night. All the committee members, which include Casey Halcone, Nicole Ford, and James Gibbon Shapiro. This shows us the relationship between the county governments and the courts that stands to be corrupted. They sent me a link to the Zoom meeting because they're now doing all of their meetings via Zoom. Only my link does not work. And this is consistent with a lot of the conduct that's going on with these remotely recorded meetings. So there is no physical place for people to go to make their public comment. And they are taking steps to obstruct the access to the phone lines and the recorded lines, including the Zoom recordings. When there are Zoom hearings or there are Zoom county meetings, they are not giving access except to the people they want participating in these meetings. It is obstruction of justice, it is Brown Act violations, and a number of other issues. This domestic violence committee is one of the most corrupt in Santa Clara County. I've been investigating their misuse of state and federal funds, and this is not a surprise to me. It's 5 minutes before the meeting has started. I got a email from the clerk yesterday. Her name is Jean Antone. She sent me the link for the Zoom meeting. Here it is in my email. When I go to click on the Zoom link, it says that Safari cannot open the page because it is blocked. So these are the things that our local governments are doing to prevent public access to these meetings, which means the meetings are happening in secret, where they're discussing budgets and expenditures, and where our public officials need to be held accountable. And in particular, Casey Halcone, who is the Director of Victim Services in Santa Clara County, and private divorce attorney Nicole Ford, and Judge Cindy Hendrickson, who won election in 2018 after the recall of Persky, are all on this committee. Most people never think about the district attorney in their community. They never realize this is an elected position. But these district attorneys are the most powerful individuals in any community. They have the discretion to prosecute police officers, public officials, or even individuals operating charities and defrauding donors. And they also have the discretion not to prosecute. Mr. Rosen has been closely aligned with Ruth Darlene for over 10 years. They do mutual fundraisers for each other and support each other's donation drives and Mr. Rosen's political campaigns. I wrote a letter about Ms. Patrick's conduct because the number of complaints about her defrauding donors, failing the victims she claims to serve, and putting false information in the public domain to get donations has escalated. Shortly after I submitted this letter to the supervisors, my access to public meetings to be able to comment on the letter was blocked, but Miss Patrick's access was not, and this is what she had to say at a public meeting today.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Yes, it's Ruth Darlene. Thank you so much for giving me some time to talk today. I'm the executive director of a domestic abuse program called Women of Silicon Valley, Women SV. And every now and again, I've come in the past to report on our progress and what's been going on for the last 9 years, going on 10. This is our 10-year anniversary, and I'm very excited to report that we've helped over 1,000 women in the last 9 years, 200 last year alone. We have a training that it's coming up with Orange County Probation Department coming up on Tuesday, an 8-hour training, and I'm excited about that. And so I think a number of you know the work that I've been engaged in the last 9 years. I'm a domestic violence advocate trained through CORA. I'm not a therapist and never present myself to be one. And I do want to make it very clear that we work very hard to create positive relationships with our partner providers and the people in the domestic violence world. I think it's so much, you can achieve so much more when we work together, when we find areas of common understanding and work to help each other understand our points of view. And I'm proud of the relationship that I have with family court and criminal court and with many attorneys. And I think the most helpful way that we can help our survivors is by working together, not in a divisive way. I know there's room for that, to be angry and to speak out in an angry way about things that you're upset about. There's a place for that, but our approach is a more peaceful one. But I do want to be clear that there are things that have been said about myself and my program, none of which are true, though I may just sort of qualify and say that there are kernels of truth, and there are false statements woven around them. And I would be very happy to talk to anybody that has concerns about any of our work. Our treasurer is former Mr. Los Altos and has his own CPA firm, and we are very transparent in the way we conduct our business. So I just want to express my sincere gratitude to the Domestic Violence Council, to criminal court, to family court, to the judges and attorneys who all work so hard to help protect domestic violence survivors. I'm very proud and grateful for my relationship with the very systems that are set up to try and do everything they can to protect survivors. Nobody's perfect, but I think the vast majority of us are trying to do the right thing by survivors. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ruth.
Investigative reporting means knowing how to get the records in the public domain, court files, or anywhere where they may reside with your sources. It means getting enough information to be able to support your reporting. And we did that where Miss Patrick was concerned. And there are allegations not only that she has been stealing money from donors and failing the victims she claims to serve, but she also, in her own divorce case, appears to have made up false domestic violence allegations. And it has been reported that she is teaching others how to do that, especially for the benefit of certain private divorce attorneys. So we decided to take her up on her offer to check in with the accountants and others who she claims will support her work.
Hello?
Yes, this is Susan. I'm on a recorded line. Who's calling me?
This is Dennis Young returning your call.
Hi, Dennis. Thank you for returning my call. I'm calling on behalf of some donors to Women SV, where you are the accountant and a board member. Have you received a copy of the letter that I sent to Miss Patrick Darlene?
No, I have not.
I asked that letter be forwarded, and as a board member who's responsible for her compensation, I ask that you ask for a copy of that letter.
Well, I'm not at liberty to give you any information. All of the accounting and tax information is on the web.
I'm aware of that.
You can look at GuideStar and see all the tax returns.
I have done
It's all
that.
public information.
I have done that. I have also interviewed donors that have given over $80,000 to the charity one donor in particular gave $80,000. I've also interviewed a number of people who have given cash and other.
And what does that have to do with anything?
They were the donations were solicited with misrepresentation. It was told that
Well, I have nothing to do with that, and I have no comment.
You're a board member, sir. You're responsible.
That's
for
true,
that.
and I know of no wrongdoing, and I have no comment.
And I'm letting you know that there's wrongdoing, and I'm trying to bring
That's
it
fine. You can send it to me, and we will take it through the proper channels, and I have nothing else to say. Please don't call me again.
Are you saying that Ms. Patrick did not forward the letter to you?
I don't recall whether I saw the letter or not, and if I did, that is none of your business.
Are you aware that she gave public comment today in Santa Clara County saying that you would be available to discuss any of these issues?
She has not informed me of that, and I'm not at liberty to give you any information besides what is public information already out there.
She made that public information today, sir.
That's fine. I will talk to her, but I'm not talking to you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
In addition to donor fraud and failing victims seeking services from her charity, we are investigating Miss Patrick's connection with the Hoover Kropalka law firm because Jim Hoover sits on her advisory board, and it has been reported that she refers a great deal of business to Jim Hoover, and he gets clients of Miss Patrick's into private judging. It has also been reported that Miss Patrick used a private judge in her own divorce case, where she was awarded $4 million in fees after allegedly making false allegations of domestic violence against her own husband, and that she and Mr. Hoover are now getting people pressured to use private judges and to learn how to make false domestic violence claims in order to get a litigation advantage during a divorce or custody case. And these issues are certainly worth further investigation.
Hi. My name's Susan Bassey. I'm a former client, and I'm recording, and I'm here to talk to Jim Hoover about and Travis Kropalka about private judging.
Oh, I'm sorry, but he is not in.
Neither of them are in? Okay. They haven't returned my phone calls. Is Rebecca Lowell still working here?
No, she's not.
Okay. How many cases do you have with Michael Smith?
I cannot answer those questions.
Okay. Who can answer those questions for me?
What I can do for you is I can do you say your name is?
My name is Susan Bassey.
Susan Bassey?
Yes. And I'm here about issues related to Jim Hoover and Women SV. And I'm here related to private judging. And I also don't believe I got my entire file back when my case was transferred.
Okay. What I can do for you is I can give you our office manager business card so you can communicate with you.
I happen to be personally familiar with the customs and practices of this law firm in trying to get people into private judging. They fail to inform you about what private judging really is. They tell you it will be cheaper and faster and more secret, when in fact these proceedings are required to be open just like any other court proceedings. But you will end up paying a private judge hundreds of thousands of dollars. They will sell off your homes and drag out your case for 5 to 10 years. They look for equity in properties, including the family residence. They drain businesses, and they prey on the people who come to them as clients. And they do this outside of public view. It is the privatization of our courts. And if Miss Patrick and her charity are involved in this, that may perhaps explain, while despite her comments at a public meeting that she was willing to speak with anybody, she wasn't willing to speak to me.
Hello?
Hi, is this Ruth?
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. My name is Susan Bassey, and I'm recording. I'm a journalist, and I'm investigating private judging in cases involving Lonich and Patton's firm.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna take your temperature really quickly. Is that okay?
Sure. You've had professional training on knowing what taking temperatures are supposed to do? Had that calibrated?
Yes.
Great.
Oh, awesome. You're good.